Hey guys, King of Charm Managers here. Today I'll be your judge, your jury, and your analyst. And today I bring to you the top 5 teams for Open Great League for the upcoming Season 11. I haven't battled in so long, my brain is like, what season is it? Oh yeah, Interlude season didn't matter, stuff's still broken. Here we go to another season worth of lag and no move changes whatsoever. However, there aren't actually a whole lot of changes. These top teams are very similar to last season, so the ones that are basically the same, I'm not going to go too deep in. I'll go through them pretty quickly, but a surprising thing about it is that in the top 5, things like Araquanid or Shadow Marowak didn't actually enter the data. So I'm pretty sure Shadow Marowak didn't have enough time for it to be broken in, but it takes a little bit of time before so, but it's relatively somewhat, you'll see what I mean when I'll mention it for each and every individual team. But before we get started, my therapist mental health tip of the day. I'm sorry, my brain's kind of scrambled right now because I'm doing this later on in the day and I kind of just turned over my responsibilities to the newer school therapist. So I leave my school that I'm assigned to this year. So this week I have my final sessions at that school before I move over to my next assignment for next year. But I'll be taking a caseload over the summer. So clinic and school-based clinician, the experience of both gives me a lot of, it's an amazing experience. Gives me a lot of insight into how both things work, especially when it comes to insurance, as well as what it's like to be in schools. Because schools, if you're lucky, your school or the school that your child goes to, if you have children, they have cost counselors, which are general school counselors, and then you have your level up from there, which is your mental health support, which is us, your school therapist. So yes, I'm pretty happy to give them the tour, but for my it's kind of coincides to what I was talking to them about today. It's anxiety. So they're coming in, they're a private school teacher, so they have kind of an idea, and being a school therapist is pretty cool because they already have it, but I think it was really good, and I was a little worried, not anxious at all about my replacement, but I think they're going to do really well, so I'm really happy that I think the school will be in very good hands with them taking over. So for this, I'm going to put the link below on the description as well, just like I did last time. And I'm going to go back to Therapist Aid. Therapist Aid is like the Bible of free stuff, free worksheets, and just basically free content for therapists that we can use. We're not going to know everything, especially with our modalities. So with everything we use, there are free websites, and there's a bazillion resources out there that we can utilize as therapists to help out our clients, but also do a bit of psychoeducation. Psychotherapy is the process, and psychoeducation is the education. So for the education part, what is anxiety? And a lot of you probably experience this when it comes to Go Battle League or just stuff in life in general. So what is anxiety? As far as the definition for the worksheet, again, this will be in the description. Anxiety is a mental and physical reaction to perceived threats. In small doses, anxiety is helpful, protects us from danger, focuses our attention on problems. But when anxiety is too severe or occurs too frequently, it can become debilitating. When it does become this way, this is when you usually get those serious disorders like general anxiety disorder, etc., social anxiety disorder, and things like that of that sort, if you want to go in and you get diagnosed. Now, some symptoms of anxiety are uncontrollable worry, excessive nervousness, sleep problems, muscle tension, poor concentration, increased heart rate, upset stomachs, and avoidance of the said fear. This is very similar to Go Battle League. For example, in Go Battle League, if you have a terrible set and you're worried that you won't make legend and you can't control it, you feel like you need to make it, otherwise you're worthless, that's basically part of anxiety and excessive nervousness. So you get really nervous when you battle, or you get to a certain point and Go Battle League. Your types of anxiety, again, generalized anxiety, I already put that on here. So generally you worry about several areas such as job responsibilities, health, finances, or minor concerns, or an example is completing housework, and it's an actual mental illness. General anxiety disorder is a diagnosable thing, and you also have phobias and panic. Basically, all 3 of these are mental illness. It's just there's different categories for each one. I'm not going to go into it because it would take forever. And we have phobias, intense fear of a specific situation. So losing in Go Battle League can be another one. Losing the league can be it. And panic. When experiences is a panic attack. During a panic attack, you expect numerous physical symptoms and you get overwhelmed by a feeling of dread. So you can panic that you're not going to make something, etc. So Here's a little thing about how anxiety grows, and here's a little bit of anxiety treatments. A lot of what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna try to incorporate this into like a Go Battle League series. Instead of just featuring battles, I really want to use my day job as a therapist to try to really give y'all the skills to really get you through Pokemon Go and PvP, because it's a unique, and you can possibly apply this to other things throughout your life. So I think doing that is much more valuable, considering, as far as I know, I am the only psychotherapist that actually does content and has somewhat of a name in the Pokemon Go PvP community. So yes, I will put that out there, and I'm gonna make sure I put that out there. If you have any suggestions like anxiety, etc., like this one, let me know, and then I'll go and put it there. But before we get started, this is going to be my top 5 teams, or the top 5 teams for Open Great League. And without further ado, let's get started. Alrighty, for the first team, we've got Mandibuzz, Dragalge, and you have Excavalier. I am not sure who the safe switch is in here. If I had to take a guess, it's probably It's probably going to be Dragalge, or you're just going to sack Mandibuzz in the lead. This was very strange how this made the top 5, because if you've noticed, your literal first row is weak against Walrein. So Walrein has become insanely popular, and your first 2 mons basically died at Walrein. Despite that, this team still somehow took the top 5. Not a lot of coverage, like I mentioned, it's very dangerous. All 3 of these mons aren't super meta at all. Decent amount of bulk thanks to Mandibuzz and Dragalge. Not very safe, as I mentioned before. Walrein's going to run through you, but does consistent damage. Along that, if you look at the overall meta, there's a lot of things, again, that beat both Mandibuzz and Dragalge. Excavalier is essentially your kind of like antichrist to whatever Mandibuzz and Dragalge is weak against, which is basically going to be the ice types. Or with Mandibuzz, if you do get those Charmers, that kind of sucks too, because even though Dragalge does only take neutral damage from Charm, it's still not great because Dragon Tail is resisted. Also, a Bastiodon will essentially ruin your day. I think the way this team functions is that if you lose the lead, you're just going to outright lose the lead in general, and then you're going to send Excavalier to try to farm down. You're going to do a lot of sack lead strats if you don't win the lead with this. Because as you see here, there's too many things that core break your first 2 mons. So if you lose the lead, I would say your best bet is to safe switch into Dragalge, which would probably be your most valuable one. But again, I think what happened and what broke this in is that you sack Mandibuzz, do as much damage as you can, Excavalier farms, and hopefully Dragalge with shields can take out your opponent after you take out whatever Mandibuzz is weak against. Very high threat score, 722. Did make the top 5 though, so I wouldn't underestimate this team. If you're looking for something somewhat spicy and you don't want to go super meta for day 1, this team is for you. But as you see here, there's a whole lot of things that can give you a lot of problems if you decide to use this team. Next up, we got Altaria, Registeel, and Toxicroak. This is another strange team. I think your safe switch is going to be Registeel, or again, you sack. Why is the sack the lead strat so popular? Well, you could choose to say, well, your safe switch is probably going to be Registeel, because what happens here is that you're going to safe switch your Registeel, try to break shields or Zap Cannon debuff, and Toxicroak possibly can farm. This is another one where Walrein was going to give you a very big problem, and also G-Fisk. So if you do get a G-Fisk, this is why my brain is kind of wondering how this made it. But this is number 4, so it's good. Good coverage, great bulk, not very safe like I mentioned, but it can do a ton of damage. Altaria can force its way through a lot of scenarios, except when it comes to Walrein. Walrein, Bastiodon, Lickitung, if you do lose lead, safe switch and Registeel, try to take as many shields as humanly possible. Toxicroak farms down, and hopefully Altaria and Toxicroak with shields and all that energy you got from farming down whatever comes into you, you can go ahead and take the match. So, very powerful team. Two pretty meta teams. Altaria has lost a lot of effectiveness because of the fact Walrein has entered the meta. There's a lot of things that can kill Altaria. For example, Azumarill, Charmers, of course I just mentioned it, the Metal Pancake of Death, where if you went into Food Wars and if you decided to use it, it would probably be excessively annoying, but you know, pancakes are very, very good. For those of you that don't know, I'm King of Charmanders, and tomorrow I love food, and tomorrow we're going to have a kind of like goodbye because I will be leaving my clinic site after I'm done with the summer, and we're we're going to this new cafe, and they got like cinnamon like French toast, and yes, it sounds amazing. I can't wait. I love food. two reasons why I work out. one, because I want my black belt in jiu-jitsu and I like competing in combat sports, and two, so I can eat more food. That's what it is. But overall, very good team. Wish Cash, Daddy Cash, I don't see a lot. I don't foresee a lot of Daddy Cash because of Trevenant, but as you see, Daddy Cash can still give you a problem. If you do lose the lead again with Galar and stuff, etc., you're likely going to sack Altaria, and then you're going to send in Toxic to farm down, or you're going to safe switch into Registeel, and again, hopefully Altaria and Toxic with Shield's energy lead can hopefully win out the match for you. Alright, next up, we have a former top team. Sableye, Medicham, and Registeel. This was the most powerful Registeel team before, and it's still the most powerful Registeel team now. If you've noticed, all three of these mons have been very heavily featured if you've watched or if you've been up to date on the World Championships. All three of these super inaccessible meta mons for that of a new person are all super meta. So this team, in some way or shape or form, has been used at one point in the World Championships and the Regionals. Well, probably will be used at Worlds. When you have Open Great League, it's the most terrible league of all time, and you have a small skill ceiling like Go Battle League, it's really not that impressive. If it was, why isn't there millions of people playing Go Battle League in comparison to other games? Another video on that later. But this team is still super meta and still super boring. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna use this team because, you know, I don't care about... I've done this, I've created unique teams already. I've done Spice, I've broken top teams to #1 in my own way, and I freaking broke open last little bit Hydrangea. So, yeah, I've done it all. So, I don't need to... This team is really good. A with coverage, A with bulk, safety, consistency, really good. Sableye does a lot of pressure, great gentleness in a lot of things, and even though it's weak against things like Azumarill, Return can possibly give you some win conditions if you manage to go against it. Charmers can give you a problem as well. What I would do is I would say switch into Medicham, try to break as many shields as you possible, and try to line up the Charmer with Registeel. Registeel with shields or Sableye with shields might be able to come out with a win condition for you. You can use Medicham or Registeel as a safe switch. Medicham's probably going to be your safe switch because you don't want to lose Registeel if they happen to have a Charmer. You want to try to line up that Charmer against Registeel if you do go against it. Very short and sweet combination. This team is super meta and super powerful. You've probably used it before, and you will probably see me feature again because it really is that freaking good. Sporting a low threat score of 608, which is one of the lowest ones in this meta. Despite the fact that things like Araquanid, etc. are released, it's still very powerful, and because you have 2 XL Pokemon and one of the most broken legendaries of all freaking time, the legendary Trash Can Registeel, it's basically like, let's see what's in broken. It's like One Punch Man, where Saitama is just so godforsakenly overpowered. This is what this team presents, and this team will be like, I don't know what you call it, like Team 7, right? No, Squad 7 from Naruto, where they all get trained by Sanin and the legendary ninjas and become some of the most deadliest and most powerful ninja of all time. That is this team. You've probably used this before. If you have 3 of these, use it again. It's really freaking good. Alright, next up we got Deoxys Defense, Altaria, and G-Fisk. Another former top team. Deoxys Defense is still good, even with Araquanid and Shadow Marowak coming out. It's still pretty dang good. And as you see here, it's still giving you an A for coverage. If you lose the lead with Deoxys Defense, you safe switch into G-Fisk, and Altaria can hopefully help you close out. G-Fisk is likely going to be a safe switch for you, or you're going to sack Deoxys Defense in the lead. Same grades as the former team. In fact, it's actually better with an A in consistency and just a B for safety. Just because, like I mentioned, if you lose like G-Fisk safe switch, that's basically it. Super powerful team. All 3 of these are super meta. Deoxys Defense is a very solid lead. All 3 of these will give you a good amount of damage and do a lot of charge move pressure. You probably used all these at one point. If you're watching my content, you probably have either seen this or you have used them all, so I'm not going to go super deep into detail. A little thing into detail though is that you aren't using Rock Slide, you will be using Thunderbolt. You can use Rock Slide to your discretion, however, the reason why you want Thunderbolt is because you want to take out those Azus, which can give you a problem with Altaria. And of course G-Fisk as well. So if you look overall, G-Fisk can bust your lead. You can force your way through Deoxys Defense in the 2 shield. So because G-Fisk is weak to counter, that Stunfisk matchup isn't as bad as it looks. So you can choose to stay in. If you do get Trevenant, however, you must stay switch into Galarian Stunfisk, because any ghost type lead is going to give you hell on high water, and that's why you have Deoxys Defense, and that's why you have G-Fisk to stay switch. You lose the lead with Deoxys Defense, you stay switch into G-Fisk. And hopefully Deoxys Defense and Altaria with shields and some extra fanciness, and hopefully they do have a chance against your opponent's back row, can come out with a W. Despite this fact that you are weak to things like Trevenant or Ghostly is pretty popular because you still have things like Coffer and of course you still have things like Umbreon, so the Dark Archetype is still out there as well. This team still only has a low threat score of 615, so it's number 2, so it's pretty dang good. 3 Super Metamons, and like I mentioned, a very solid team if you still have, well, you likely have these Mons, and these 3 still work really well despite the kind of little bit of a shakeup for Season 11. Alright, and this is the top team. It's still the same one as the last season. This team is busted, still freaking good, still powerful. Features 2 of the most powerful save switches in the game. Well, no, I wouldn't say most powerful, but 2 really good save switches, and one that literally entered the meta not too long ago. Well, actually last Halloween still pretty long ago, so I take that back. But, as you see here, if you notice, this is the former top team, and it's still the most powerful one, sporting a 1% usage of everything else. It's still freaking good, and will get you that elo. This team absolutely loves to destroy Registeel. If you see Registeel, this team will likely kill Registeel, which is why, as you see, kill Registeel. Still really solid across the bat, though. All 3 of these have a ton of great charge move coverage. All are very tanky and very bulky, except for Trevenant. Trevenant's not super bulky, but it is able to do a lot of damage. It can resist some things like the ground types, of course. And it puts that pressure to where you can either nuke through shield. A Shadow Ball through shield against a Sableye will hurt a lot. So, there's a lot of nuke capability in here, and Deoxys defense is still a tanky beast. Or tanky noodle arms to be exact. Ramen is really good. If you go to Japan, you go to Family Mart, get that ramen, get those noodles. Or just go to a ramen shop, go inside, punch that ticket, and get your unique bowl of ramen. That will feed you and... I miss Japan so much, but they're only open to tourism they're only open to like tourist groups right now. They're not really open to visitation, so I really can't wait till Japan open up so I can go back and visit Japan. But other than that, as you see here, this team is still really solid and does really well. The thing about it is other than Trevenant and Scrafty and Sableye, so out of these 3, you won't see a lot of Diggersby, Gliscor, Gligar, or Malamar. They are still out there, but not likely you will see them except for these 3 right here. So if you lose the lead, there's this team, the fact that despite a little bit of meta changes with Araquanid and Shadow Marowak, this team is still really good and it's still really powerful. It's going to get you a lot of elo. You lose the lead with G-Fisk, you can choose to sack G-Fisk in the lead. Then you have 2 options of whether or not you want to say switch into Deoxys defense or Trevenant. Other than Rock, Paper, Scissors, this team is still really good, really powerful, and has still taken the top rating. Despite the fact that, like I mentioned, not so many changes, but few things here and there, like Araquanid and again Shadow Marowak. So, you used this team before, use it again. It's really good. And that's GG's. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I did give you a long intro for the therapist mental health tip of the day, so I'm going to keep this conclusion short. I'm still going to do a decent amount of content over the week, but I'm going to dive more things into like the therapy kind of deal. I look at something a little bit to keep my psychoeducation and just my skills as a therapist on point. But I still have a caseload of clinic clients, so I still have practice over. So not going completely out of practice, but yes, I try to learn as much as I can because you're never going to know everything about mental health or as a clinician when you're a therapist. God, there's a lot of mental illnesses out there, and every individual is different, and one therapist will treat another individual differently than another therapist would. So again, you have to keep yourself sharp and you got to keep going. So I'm going to leave this with you. Hopefully y'all are doing well on your Go Battle League sets. Hopefully you are excited for Season 11 because I'm not going to lie, this game is still broke. Nothing's really changed. Still no held items, no unranked mode, and no unlimited battles. It's still 25 a day, which is nuts. But more on that on other videos later. Please do me a huge favor. Please like and subscribe and comment for the YouTube algorithm. For those of you that do so, I really do appreciate y'all. And trust me, I do read them. If I don't get back to you, I apologize. It just means I'm busy, but I promise I try to read. And I try to answer if you have any questions. So yes, please like, subscribe, and comment. And also, I stream on Twitch. I didn't stream this week. I'm probably going to stream... I didn't stream last week. I'm probably going to stream this week just because it's Memorial Day, so I decided to take that week off. and it is my final week at the school this week. It's supposed to be last week, but this week I have a client that I get to terminate with, so I'm going to give them that chance. So I'm going to go through and pull through a little bit of extra work so they get that chance, so they can have that session with me. They really want it, so I will provide it as well. Again, good luck on your Go Battle League sets. Hopefully y'all are excited for the next season coming up, which is literally a little bit after I publish this video, and I will see y'all on the next video.